I just wanted to do a quick review on the Phantom, DJI Phantom. In regards to using it for hiking, mountaineering even, and wild camping, how good are they? How reliable are they? Are they worth the money? And basically, first of all, what are they? Well, the DJI Phantom is pretty much designed to fit your normal GoPro camera, which is what this is being filmed on now. It fits inside of a, you have to buy this gimbal, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but it fits inside of your gimbal like so. And basically, it gives you an extra dimension when it comes to videoing either in the hills, in the glens and the valleys, whether you're videoing cascading waterfalls or people climbing up sheer faces. It just gives you that extra dimension. It's almost like, you know, normally we're kind of videoing in 2 dimensions, and this gives you the dimension of height, depth and height. So in terms of what it can do for a video is actually breathtaking. Now I'm not brilliant with this yet, but I've had it now since November. It's May now. I've had it since November, and I'm pretty confident. I'm confident enough now to be able to take this to the Lake District, which next week, God willing anyway, we're going to do something that we've never done before, and that is attempt to do a 5-night camp in the lakes. Depending on the weather, I mean it's raining now, but with my wife and also my son and the family, we enjoy wild camping. So the idea is I want to be able to take this with us and fasten this onto the backpack, obviously put a waterproof cover over it, but to use it to help to record some of the stunning footage. So hopefully this will be used to video a bit of cat bells, Dale Head, haystacks, Wasdale Head, maybe Great Gable depending on the weather, and Castle Crag. These are the places that we're thinking of going. So the question is, what is it that sets these apart from other stuff? Well, I mean, this is the version 1. There is a new version now, but I think it's quite a lot more expensive. Basically, the difference with this particular type of quadcopter for videography is that it's controlled by GPS. So when you initially power this up, you stick your battery in there like so, always flick your transmitter on first, put your battery in. This will go through a process where the PCB inside, everything starts to warm up inside, and what it does is it goes through a process of finding as many satellites as it can, normally over 6. I've never yet flown this without 6 satellites being locked onto it. It works really well. And then after that, it finds its home point. So it knows the position that it took off from. And that's really important, as I'll come back to in a bit. Now, I grew up with my dad, and I've done a bit of RC, a bit of, you know, remote control, flying gliders and this, that and the other. And to be quite frank, I wasn't very good at it. I crashed quite a few gliders in my time into smithereens. In fact, only probably 3 or 4 years ago, I crashed a Mustang, really good plane, a Mustang, smashed it to pieces. Lost its orientation, didn't know which way it was going, and they're just not forgiving at all. Once you've lost control of those things, they're in the ground, and it literally is in a million pieces. These are so different, it's unbelievable. And the reason why is because it's controlled by GPS. So what happens is, if I take this off, it will literally hover. If I just push the stick up like that, it will literally hover pretty much in exactly the same place that you leave it. It won't start drifting off this way or drifting off that way or going up or going down, because if you just dab it, I don't know, up 5 foot and you stop, this will stop, because the GPS satellites are telling it that's where the person that's flying it wants it to stop. Now with normal sort of quadcopters, helicopters, and certainly gliders, you're constantly having to correct the things all the time. They never stay where you want them to stay. With this thing, it's that good that it's possible that you could put this 100 feet up in the air, leave your transmitter outside, go inside in the kitchen, make yourself a brew, and it would literally stay, I would say, within 5 square meters of where you left it. You come back out, you wouldn't have much battery time left, by the way, but you come back out and it would be where you left it. That's how reliable they are. I've been flying this now for 6 months, and I've never experienced so much as a wrong twitch with it. They are really reliable. But there's something about this that sets this apart, in my opinion, from anything I've ever seen in terms of using it for hiking and wild camping in particular. The thing is with hiking and wild camping, normally you're not low level, you're high level. Now I just want you to paint the scenario in your head for a minute. If you're low level with one of these, you can fly this out, let's say 100 meters away from you, and because you want to get a nice perspective of where you're camping or whatever. The trouble is, once you get 100 meters away with one of these things, you no longer know which way it's facing, because it's square. You've got no idea, once you get that far away, which is the front and which is the back. You don't know what its orientation is any longer. Now with these things, it's possible to completely lose orientation, let go of your controls completely, and basically just run towards it, run through the fields towards it until you get close enough to know that, you know, that's the front and this is the back, and you can recover the thing. Now that's if you're at low level. But the problem is, if you're at high level, let's say for instance that you're on top of the Trifan, right? Because that's a really good example. If you're on top of the Trifan and you've pushed this out 100 meters away from the mountain because you want to film that great perspective of seeing the mountain from way out there at 3,000 feet up, if you lose orientation on this when you're up on a mountain like the Trifan, you can't just go running down the mountain to find out which way it's facing. Obviously, you're snookered completely. So, under normal circumstances, if you were to do that on a mountain, you've pretty much lost your quad. But with this thing, and this is where I've never known anything like it, it's got a little feature on it which I only found out about a week ago, which is why I'm doing this video really, because I know now that this is going to work for people that like to do high level walking stuff. There's a feature on this which enables, it uses a very complicated sort of method of logarithms to do it. It's really clever. This isn't a toy, it's quite an advanced computer. But what you can do is, let's say that you're out on top of a mountain, you can't move, you're stuck, your quad's disappearing in the distance, you know you're about to lose it. In some cases, if you lose a quad like this, you're losing the equivalent of £1,000 because the quad, the gimbal, the camera, and some people even use FPV stuff on it as well. You could easily be throwing away £1,000 worth of equipment. But they've built a feature into this which it just utterly blows my mind, and it's simply this. On this side here you've got a switch. If you throw this down into HL, which is I think is home lock, and you simply press back on your joystick, no matter which way this is facing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether it's behind you, in front of you, to the left, to the right, whether it's way up above, it doesn't matter. Wherever this is facing, it could be 200 metres away, even 300 metres away, you could have completely lost it. You flick down your switch to home lock, pull your joystick back, and this will come back, if you take the shortest route from where it is, right the way back to the place that you took it off from. Do you remember I said at the beginning, when you initialise these on the floor, the last thing it does is it gets what you call a home lock, so it knows where it took off from. Now, yesterday I tried this 10 times in various places, 200, 300 metres away, and every single time, flick your switch down, pull your stick back like that, it starts coming back. It's absolutely incredible. So the point is this: if you're on top of Helvellyn and you're wanting to video striding edge, and you completely lose orientation, which is so easy to do, it's unbelievable. You simply flip the switch down to home lock, pull your joystick back, and it'll come back to you. And it's just insane. Even if that failed, which it shouldn't do, but obviously everything goes wrong, with this, I know I've never tried this, but with this you can simply switch off the transmitter completely. This then knows that it's lost signal, and in theory it's supposed to go up 60 feet, come back to the point where it took off from, and actually land itself. Now, I've never tried that, I don't want to try it, but judging by how accurate this is, the home lock thing, I'm sure it probably does work. The point is this: I think we've got to a stage now where it's possible to do some high-level videography and be relatively confident that everything's going to be alright. Now, having said that, this home lock doesn't come enabled on default, so if you're listening to this and you've got one of these things, whatever you do, don't test it without first downloading the software onto your computer. It may then ask you to download an updated version of the software. Download that, you have to, and then if you go into, go on YouTube and it'll tell you exactly what you need to do to enable this switch. It's dead easy. I am useless with computers and I managed to do it. But yeah, so that doesn't come on default. You have to download the software to make that available, and I understand why as well, because if you were to have all these features on at the very beginning, I think you'd probably crash it because they all do various things. Anyway, the point is that I'm quite confident that this is more than capable of being taken up a mountain and being used to get those sort of killer pictures. The batteries on this particular model are not good. You're going to get about 8 minutes, but you'll be surprised how much you can get in 8 minutes. It's very surprising. And normally out of that 8 minutes you'll be dubbing probably 6 minutes out of it actually. What you don't want really in your shots is a thing turning all the time. It's nice to just leave straight lines, you know. But I really wanted to do a review on this because I came across these by mistake. I typed in on YouTube one day, wild camping in Dovedale, because I love Dovedale, and I saw this picture of the stepping stones in Dovedale, and all of a sudden the perspective of the picture is going up and up and up, above the stepping stones, way above the river, And then right up to the top of Thorpe Cloud, I thought, what on earth is that? And I found out it was a DJI Phantom. They are getting really popular, which is worrying actually, because a lot of people are crashing them in built-up areas. Not necessarily this one, but it may well be that they get banned at some point. So, you know, now's a good time to get them. So, are they any good? I would say they are amazing. I've never ever had this twitch on me. I would strongly advise, if you're thinking of getting one, that you spend a good few weeks flying low level before you take it anywhere, because they just take a bit of getting used to. In terms of the price, they're not cheap. Now, I bought this last November, and I know some of you are going to be shocked, but I actually sold my Hillyberg Solo to buy it, because along with the gimbal, it came in at over 400 quid. And I haven't got 400 quid just to spend on this, so I had to sell one of my tents, my favourite tent, which I sort of regret letting go of now, but at the time, last year, I wasn't doing any solo camping at all. It was with the family, and I thought, I'm not using it, you know. So, but I certainly don't regret getting this. I've already had some great footage. I've taken it to Dovedale, got some great footage at Dovedale, at my local hill, which is called the Cloud, done some there. Done some going right over a church spire and almost touching the weathercock on top. The things you can do with these is amazing. So the idea is that next week we're going to take this with us for a week. Even out of that whole week, there's probably only going to be about 7 minutes footage of stuff, but it just looks so good. I've got one of these. You can pick these up from between 18 quid and 50, 60 quid. This is just it's a GPS tracker. It's a real-time GPS tracker, which I'll somehow Velcro somewhere around this. There's hardly any weight to it, but the point is that these can go AWOL, and if they do, and you're up a mountain, you can't go chasing it. So you need some way of being able to track it, and this is probably the cheapest way. It's not the best way, because I'm feeling that this relies on the mobile phone signal. So if it is that there's no signal where this lands, you've had it. So it's probably a good idea to write on permanent ink, please return to, and put your phone number on them. But this is better than nothing. It gives you a little bit of confidence. What happens is you text the phone number in this, and this texts you back, and it uploads you to Google Maps, and it shows you on Google Maps where it is, where this is landing or crashed. But it's just too much expense to not really have a fail-safe on it. Talking about this now, the gimbal, it doesn't look particularly pretty, this one, and that's because it's a sort of a cheap one from China. You know, the sort of official ones are just too expensive for me, but they are good, but they're expensive. But what this does is it allows the camera to stay steady, you see. No matter what the quad is doing, the camera, the picture will stay relatively steady. I do find when you shoot up very quickly that you get a little bit of what you call a jello effect, even though this shouldn't have a jello effect on it. It has a little bit. Now you can pick these up from China from £50 to about £150. The original version, I'm sure, is 300 quid. My advice would be, if you're absolutely new to it, start with one of the cheaper ones, because you may well wreck it anyway. But although it does look really dodgy. I mean, look at these cables. You've just got to be so careful with them. It's fiddly. It will only work with the GoPro, for some reason it knows the exact weight of a GoPro, and if you put a GoPro on it works perfectly. If you try and fit anything else to this, it literally sort of has a fit on you. It's dreadful. So you have to use a GoPro. But the good thing about, you know, hikers, wild campers, mountaineers is they've all got GoPros already. So they're not cheap. It's a £400 outfit with a gimbal. But then the argument could be, how much is a basic DSLR? A basic DSLR is 400 quid. And you know, you're only going to get a perspective from the plane that you're at. Yes, the photographs and the video is going to be excellent, but you're only going to get it from that perspective. Whereas this just gives you that extra dimension of height and depth, which honestly is addictive.